When is the best time to rent, and when is it a good time to buy?
Yeah, so let's cover renting first. So there are a lot of pros to renting. First off, you're not going to have those big unexpected expenses like you would when you're a homeowner. Furnace, if the furnace goes out, it's the landlord's problem. If you need a new roof, it's the landlord's problem. If you want to be mobile and be able to move to a new city and pursue a new opportunity whenever you want.
Once again, your realty expert, John Brodeen. How are you today, man?
Hey, I'm good.
I just gave you more volume in the headphones. Could you tell?
Yeah.
Okay, is that okay? All right,
perfect.
all right. Friday today, big plans for the weekend?
We have our high school reunion actually tomorrow. So, yeah.
How many years for you?
10.
Already?
Yeah.
Jeez. That's funny. We had an all-school reunion last weekend in my hometown. I didn't go. Because I found out a lot of my friends were going, but my 40th is actually next year.
Oh, no way.
So we just decided,
do that one, right?
Yeah, for sure I'm going to go to that one.
Wait, but so they have a 39 and a 40?
Well, this was an all class.
Okay.
This past weekend, and so yeah,
all class. Okay.
Yeah, and they had them all. I mean, every class in basically, from what I heard, in one building.
Oh wow!
It was like speed dating. Somebody put on social media because you never really had a chance to sit and talk with your classmates because there were so many people there. But and then my wife's her anniversary her class reunion was supposed to be last year. But COVID canceled that, or 2 years ago, and COVID canceled that, so they decided they're going to have a 45th, and that's going to be in 2 years, so we're both happy with not going to the all-school, but you're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be a good time. I'm kind of helping out with some of the planning, so.
Where'd you graduate?
Red River.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Are you guys going to do like a golf outing or any fun stuff?
So we're doing like a tour of the school, so we can go walk back through the high school, then a picnic at University Park during the day, and then at Rhombus Brewery, we're doing the party at night.
Okay.
We've got this big raffle going. One of our classmates, her mom is dealing with cancer right now, so we got a ton of donations from local businesses, a lot of prizes to raffle off and stuff.
Oh,
raise
cool.
money for them. So,
How many kids were in your class?
I think around 300.
Wow. Yeah. My little town of Thief River Falls, we had over 240 in my class.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a pretty big class.
Yeah, that is a big class.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got a great weekend coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And, it's going to be a good time.
Are there any people that you really, really are jacked to see, or are there people you're really, really jacked to not see?
No, not really either.
Putting John on the spot.
I don't really hang out with a whole lot of people from my grade anymore.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah. A lot of my friends from high school have moved away and stuff, and not too many of them are going to be there. But it'll be good. I still know a ton of people.
Sure,
from my class.
sure, and it's only been 10 years.
Yeah,
I forgot half the people I graduated with already, but I blame a lot of that on the decade I graduated in the 80s.
Yeah,
mine isn't really there anymore. We were talking earlier before we went on air here, John, and Katie is in here, and when to rent or when to buy.
Yep.
And somebody, like Katie's age, early 20s, this is a big question for them and a big step in their life. But when is the best time to rent, and when is it a good time to buy?
Yeah, so let's cover renting first. So there are a lot of pros to renting. First off, you're not going to have those big unexpected expenses like you would when you're a homeowner. Furnace, if the furnace goes out, it's the landlord's problem. If you need a new roof, it's the landlord's problem. If you want to be mobile and be able to move to a new city and pursue a new opportunity whenever you want, renting is the way to go. You're going to be so much more flexible, so much more mobile. If you haven't settled into your career yet and you want to be able to, move wherever, whenever you want, that's a lot. It's a bad idea as a homeowner. But as a renter, you can do it because there's just you're so much less attached to the property. Very little that can go wrong.
Back in the day, it used to be hard to find a place that would accept pets if you're renting. And now that seems to be changing a little bit. I think more places are pet friendly.
Yep.
But also leases. Back in the day when I was renting, we never had to sign a lease. But now there's leases out there too. Does that tend to turn people off from renting, do you think?
I wouldn't say necessarily, because most places give you the opportunity to find a new tenant that qualifies to take your place, and if they do that, they'll let you out and put the new person in. Leasing is great for especially if you're not super financially stable yet, you don't have a ton of savings, and you know, you can also switch apartments even in the same city, often. When you're ready to settle down, you're going to be in the same city for a long time. That's where you start to see the downsides of renting is over the long term.
Yeah.
So, many people, they go through the earlier years of their life renting, and then when they're more financially stable and when they're ready to set down some roots, that's when they purchase a home, and that's probably the way to do it. When you're renting, your rent will go up every year.
Yeah.
So if you're renting the same type of apartment, it's going to be a lot more 5 years from now than it is today. It's going to be way more 10 years from now than it is today. When you buy a home, your payment is going to stay the same. Your taxes might go up a little bit.
Yep.
But your payment, your principal and interest payment is going to stay the same over that 30-year or 15-year loan or whatever it is that you take out.
And it's going to something.
And it's going towards something, yes. And, in those first years, you're not building a ton of equity because a lot of your payment goes towards interest and not towards principal. But, as time goes on, more of your payment starts to get contributed to principal. You start paying down that loan faster. And next thing you know, 5-7 years have gone by and you've established a pretty good chunk of equity in that home that's your money. When you sell it, it goes to you. You roll it into the next property, or you can sell them. Yeah. So you got a lot of, it's a wealth building tool over time.
And you could be in the same apartment for 10 years, and if you leave, you got nothing.
Yep.
They forget your name probably after about a month, who lived there for 10 years. But now and this, I think, separates you realty experts at Berkshire Hathaway to even talk about renting versus buying. I would think that you being a realty expert would be like a no-no, but you guys, you always say it like it really is.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that. If I tell somebody who would be better off renting that, you should buy a home, this is how you're going to make money, and if I just told you all those taglines like, renting is throwing away money.
Sound like a used car salesman.
Well, and here's the thing. It's, the relationship I build with my clients is a long-term relationship.
Sure.
So when they go to sell that home, if they had only planned on living it for a year and a half, and I told them it was a wonderful idea to buy and that there's no way this could go wrong, and they call me in a year and a half and the market hasn't gone up and they haven't hardly paid off any of their loan and selling is expensive, and they end up taking a loss on it, that's me that's going to have to deal with that. It might be very hard for them to sell. There's a lot of things. So typically where I draw the line, what I tell my people is 4 or 5 years. If you can plan to live, if you're going to be in Grand Forks for 4 to 5 years, and if you're going to be able to live in the same place, meaning you're not going to outgrow it, your needs and wants aren't going to change within 5 years, you're better off owning. And longer than that, then it becomes even more of a no-brainer. If you're like, I'm in this job right now, but it's kind of temporary. I'm thinking of maybe moving to the cities in a year and a half or a couple years. I want to be able to go wherever I feel like there's opportunity. You want to be able to even within Grand Forks get a different place every couple of years. You're better off renting, and that's just the way it is. It's in that situation, it's lower risk, and it's lower risk because you don't have a chance of taking a loss, and it's also lower risk because you're not going to have those big maintenance and repairs that you're going to have to pay for.
Sure.
So despite when owning, your payment's locked in and it stays the same, the additional expenses that you're going to experience are just the maintenance of a property over the amount of time that you live there.
So you being a realty expert doesn't mean you have a crystal ball in your office, does it?
Nope.
Yeah, pretty tough to check into the future.
Yeah, but the thing that becomes more predictable is the long term. Like, it's hard to know what's going to happen in the next 2 years. You can listen to what the experts are saying and everything, which I do. But when you're talking about a 30-year period, it's pretty normal for real estate home values to double or even triple over a 30-year period. So that's where if you were renting over a 30-year period, by year 30, your rent has probably doubled or tripled as well.
And you could have had a house.
And you could have had a house that's
paid for.
Yeah, the amount of money that your house goes up, like even if you put 5% down on a house, if that house goes from being worth $200,000 to being worth $250,000, that $50,000 that it gained in value is all yours. That doesn't belong to the bank. The part that you have, the relationship with you and the bank, is just your original loan amount. So yeah, if you owe the bank $150,000, but now the property has, what whatever 95%
Yeah.
of 200,000 would be. That $50,000 that you gain, that could happen in the first 3 years, or it could happen from years 3 through 8.
Right.
You know, whenever it does happen, because it's usually like the way the market kind of goes here is you have years of plateau, you know, maybe like a 5-year plateau where values climb very slowly, like maybe, you know, 2%, 3% per year, a little less. And then you have periods like we've had in these past 2 years where values climb rapidly, where they might go up 20% over 2 years, you know, or 20% over 3 years.
Okay.
And those times are when everybody wishes they would have owned a home. And when that's all done, the people wish they would have bought a home 2 years before, but 2 years before, maybe they were saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to wait for prices to go down. Prices are too high. And now prices are 20% higher than they were when you said that.
So if there was somebody who's thinking about taking that step, they've been living in an apartment, they've got an established job, they think they're going to stay here, what would be the first step for one of these first-time home buyers? What should they do if they want to get out of the apartment life and finally make that purchase?
So if you're financially stable, you've got enough money to pay for, you know, maintenance and repairs items as they come up, you've got enough money to make your down payment, you know what's on your credit report, your first step is going to be a call into me. I can get you set up with a lender to get you pre-approved. We're going to sit down and meet, go over your budget based on your pre-approval, go over your needs and wants. So I can get a really good idea of your taste, your preferences, whether you want something fixer-upper, whether you want something move-in ready. The more I can get to understand the perfect house for you, the better I'll be able to do finding it for you. Once you're pre-approved, we're going to begin home shopping. So we're going to be going on showings. Sometimes this takes people 6 months. Sometimes it takes people 2 weeks. And when you find the right home, then we're going to make an offer on it. I handle all the tricky stuff, all the paperwork, all the contingencies, communication with the other parties, make it as easy as possible on you.
And, you know, there's a lot of apartment livers, a lot of people living in apartments out there. And a lot of the reason is, well, I don't have to shovel snow and I don't have to mow the lawn. But, you know, there are lawn services around Grand Forks and East Grand Forks that'll take care of that for you. But I tell you what, there's nothing better than owning your own home. You don't have to worry about who's upstairs, who's downstairs, how loud your neighbors are. Traffic at all times of the night going down the hallways. When you got your own house, it's a completely different deal. And man, you'll love it.
Yeah, it's hard to go back. And you know, there's always the in-between too. You don't have to go straight from an apartment into a single-family home. Your first home could be a condo or a townhome, where all of your exterior maintenance and your snow removal and lawn care is done for you. You know, that takes an extra burden off those big expenses that you have to save up for. Also takes that extra aspect of hassle and work out of it. That's something that we've seen become a lot more popular amongst the, you know, 20s age first-time home buyers, especially single people. You know, people who have families and dogs and kids, it seems like the preference is a single-family home. But, you know, for a single first-time home buyer, like my sister, for example, she bought a nice townhome. Snow removal and lawn care is all done. And, you know, it's a nice space. And at her budget, it was much more nice and new and move-in ready than the type of single-family home that you would have been able to get at that budget. And way lower maintenance, way lower cost of ownership through the maintenance and repair side of things. It is a perfect option for
you know, you hear these guys that rent apartments and say, well, I have a deck. Well, it's about the size of this table. You know, it's nice to be able to have your own deck, you barbecue, you grill, you do whatever you want. The dogs can run. It's just a whole different deal. So if somebody wants to get a hold of realty expert John Brodeen, maybe somebody's looking to buy their first home, what do they do, John?
Yeah, I work with a ton of first-time home buyers. If you're a first-time home buyer and you want to become a client and get this whole thing started, or even if you're a year out and you just want to know how to plan, 701-213-5428 is my cell phone number. You can call or text me on that number. If you want to learn more about the house buying process, about what to expect, and you're not ready to take the plunge just yet, follow me on Instagram. I post like daily content and videos all about these type of topics. And subscribe to me on YouTube as well. I'm posting content almost daily on both of those platforms. So,
all right. Well, you have a good time at your reunion this weekend, and don't get all crazy now. All right. All right. Thank you, John. Have a great weekend. It'll be a fun time at those class reunions. There you go. That's your realty expert, John Brodeen. And until Wednesday, that's your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. Have yourself a great weekend, everybody.